if we want to help put money back into the pockets of Mississippians, the smartest way of doing that is not to take the money out of their pockets at all. Abolish the state income tax. The government of Mississippi is awash with money. The amount of revenue that the government of Mississippi has in its coffers way exceeds what they were forecasting. In fact, more than that, the amount of money that the government of Mississippi now has far exceeds their current spending commitments. So what should they do with this extra money? Do you think, like some in the Senate do, that this money should be spent on political projects? Or do you think that every Mississippian should be given the chance to spend this extra revenue by giving taxpayers back some of this money? The governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, and the Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, have come up with this idea of using this surplus to eliminate the state income tax. At the moment, roughly every $20 that a Mississippian earns, they have to hand over $1 out of that 20 to the state government as income tax. Under the current proposal that's just been put through the representatives and sent off to the Senate, any Mississippian would be exempt from paying a dime in income tax to the state government on the first $25,000 that they earned. If you're a married couple, you wouldn't have to pay a dime on the first $50,000 that you earned. I think that's a wonderful idea. I think it's a wonderful use of this massive cash surplus that the state government has. It's good not only for the individual Mississippians who would be allowed to keep more of their own earnings and spend it on their priorities and their families and in their communities, and therefore grow the Mississippi economy. It would be good for our state overall. It would help to make Mississippi more competitive. It's no coincidence that some of the neighboring states in the South that have done really well economically over the past 10 or 20 years are states that have low tax, or states like Tennessee or Texas or Florida that don't have a state income tax at all. Given that the price of everything from groceries to gas is going up, an alternative suggestion has been made that rather than abolish the state income tax, we should suspend payment of the gas tax for a few months. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all in favour of cutting and lowering taxes pretty much everywhere. But number one, we've no clear guarantee that if you were to suspend the state gas tax for 6 months, that the cost would be passed on, or the cost reduction would be passed on to the consumer. Secondly, what would happen at the end of those 6 months? Would we see state gas tax reimposed? If we want to help put money back into the pockets of Mississippians, the smartest way of doing that is not to take the money out of their pockets at all. Abolish the state income tax. It's great that we're finally seeing a debate in Mississippi about how best to cut taxes. But let's bear in mind that this conversation isn't fundamentally a conversation about tax. It's about trust. Do politicians trust Mississippians to spend their own earnings wisely? Or do we trust politicians to spend our money on our behalf?